Hey guys, I'm Claire. Welcome back to Ballymelon Farm. Today we are in the pantry again for kind of a part 3 pantry tour. So today I wanted to really focus this chat around how to start a pantry for from scratch cooking. When you are wanting to change from kind of buying a lot of your food pre-packaged from the groceries to kind of transitioning into like a from scratch cooking kind of kitchen. And I wanted to talk to you about how we stock our pantry for making those things from scratch. So like always, we are not perfect. We do not make all of our meals from scratch all the time, and it's really dependent for us on things like what sports the kids have after school. It depends on things like how busy we are at certain times of the year. It also depends on how we're feeling. We have both had times where we've had to rely on each other a little bit more because we've had broken bones or health troubles or things like that. So one of the main things that we say to ourselves is we are not trying to be perfect at cooking every single meal and making every single thing ourselves. I have no doubt that when we're empty nesters, and we don't have our 5 beautiful babies at home, that there will be a lot more time for us where we will be able to make these things from scratch. But right now, while we have got 5 kids from the age of 13 to 5, that it is really unrealistic for us to think that we have got time to make all of these things from scratch every single night of the week. But we definitely stock our pantry so that we are able to do that, and we have built up the skills over the last, kind of since we've been cooking, so like 15 years, I suppose. I don't know how old I am. So we've definitely been building those skills up and have those skills that we are able to make things like, tonight we're having a curry, so we make the curry 100% from scratch. We don't use a jar of curry mix. We make our naan bread ourselves, and we try and use ingredients from our shelf that we've preserved, as well as dry ingredients from our pantry and things like that. So this particular pantry is very new to us, so we have only set that up in the last few months. Before this, we had everything stocked in the house in different cupboards, all over the place, just wherever we would fit it. So it has been really, really great to set up this space, and it's just made cooking from scratch and having this type of way that we want to eat a whole lot easier for us. So I think the number one thing is that everybody's pantry is going to look different. So it's really going to be dependent on the things you eat regularly. So if you're thinking about your weekly meal plan and how that looks kind of over a few months, it will probably give you a really good idea of the types of things that you want to keep on hand in your pantry. So for example, say you eat a variation of a Mexican food once a week. So then you're going to need to keep some sort of form of beans on your shelf. So here I've got black beans that we have pressure canned ourselves, and we also have just a can from the supermarket. If that's something that you're eating regularly, you're going to want to keep some of those ingredients on hand. If it's something like, you have your pizza night every Friday night or something, you're going to want to make sure that you keep some sort of tomato-based sauce or a pizza sauce on hand. So what I like to do is just write a whole big list of all the meals that I cook regularly, and that is kind of in my repertoire or my kete of knowledge for the things that I know how to cook. And the things like your go-to things, like I feel like everybody has that kind of go-to easy meal that they probably cook once a week because it's easy and because they know how to do it without even thinking about it. So once you've kind of got your list of meal ideas written down, the next thing is to kind of look at those things, the ingredients that you're using really regularly, and those are the things that you want to focus on having in bulk in your pantry. So the same kind of thing can kind of be said as well about what you grow in your garden. So I think kind of part of this kind of lifestyle switch to keeping a well-stocked pantry for from scratch cooking. So it's really important too that you are growing and storing the kind of food that your family eats a lot of. So in our storage room, in our pantry at the moment, we're storing like a lot of onions and potatoes and pumpkin. So keeping on your pantry shelf as well and growing in your garden those things that your family eats a lot of, it's just going to make it a whole lot easier, and you kind of only want to be managing what you have to. So for us, probably the first thing that we noticed when we stopped buying packages of food mixes, so the replacement of those was really important, because once you get rid of those things, you really need like a good stock of spices and herbs and spices. So once you kind of get the hang of that, about what ingredients is used for what different meals, using herbs and spices is really, really easy, and it's just great to have them on hand. So all our herbs and spices, except for our onion and garlic powder, because we use quite a lot of those, are just kept in these 250 ml or maybe 200 ml jars. So this is obviously a lot more than these little boxes. We don't tend to bother with these little boxes very regularly because we use so many spices. You will need to kind of understand how much of each thing you're going through. But for us, I tend to buy our spices and herbs in bulk from a place like a refillery. If you think of like Refill Nation or Good For or Honest Whole Foods. So another thing to go along with herbs and spices is salt. So I like to keep our salt in these big jars. I don't bother with any of the grinding, the salt grinders or anything, because we do go through quite a lot of it. So I really like the series on Netflix, and there's also a book, but I am not a big reader, so I liked watching it. Was Salt, Fat, Acid and Heat. So I really loved watching that series. So in that series, she talked a lot about not really having to worry about adding salt to your meals. So I feel like we've been told so much to be careful of salt in our diet, because that is looking at the salt that is in processed food. When you are cooking your own meals from scratch and you're in control of the salt, what she was saying is you don't have to be careful with that, because you're not going to be adding as much as what would have been in those processed foods anyway. So she talks about when you're cooking pasta to make the water as salty as the sea and things like that. So I found that one a really, really good thing to watch, and it also helped me kind of understand cooking a bit more. So if you taste something and it tastes too salty, how can you balance that out with heat or acid or fat? And it just really helped me understand the process of cooking. So I would really recommend that. It was called Heat, Acid, Fat, Salt, but I can't remember which order the words were in. But yeah, really, really worth watching. So behind me is all of our dry food we keep in bulk. So flour is our one of our must-haves. We keep high-grade flour for baking breads and standard grade flour for baking. We've tried a whole lot of different places for getting our bulk flour from. We're really budget conscious, so if you think of flour, obviously the non-bleached organic, you know, is going to be better for us. So there's no way that we could justify the cost of that. So the flour that we buy is just the bulk 5 kg bags from places like Countdown. We have tried other places, and when we're out and about, we will pop into a place that sells bulk food and have a look at their big, like 25 kg bags of flour, and if they are a good enough price, we will pick those up. When we're looking at baking products, I would be, for us anyway, we keep high grade flour, standard flour, we keep white sugar, brown sugar, rolled oats. What else do we have in these big? A baking powder and a baking soda, as well as yeast. We keep on hand caster sugar and icing sugar as well, although they're mostly for you know, like birthday cakes. We keep brown rice and white rice on hand, as well as a couple different types of pastas. And nuts and seeds are always a really good thing to have on hand as well. We keep our nuts in the freezer just to keep them fresher, and our seeds are just in airtight containers. So another thing we keep on hand is our homemade vanilla extract. I actually ran out, which I hated, so I have been buying the like teeny tiny little bottles. I find the homemade version so great, and it's super easy. So there are tons and tons of videos on the internet about how to make it. It is pretty much just any kind of alcohol. So I've got bourbon here, and then it's just got vanilla beans in it. You let it sit for like a year. I don't know, let me smell it. It doesn't smell very vanilla yet. So this has been sitting for probably about 3 months. I want to let that sit for longer before I use it. So I've got a few different types. This is one with a white rum. Let me smell that one. That one smells a lot more vanilla-y than the first one. And this one's with a vodka. I'm going to get drunk smelling all these because I don't drink alcohol in there. Quite strong. That one smells quite vanilla-y as well. So, oh, the lid doesn't like to seal on this one. So yeah, I just like to keep these on hand. I think they're really, really, really handy. I'm going to have to be careful with that because for some reason the lid's not going on. So yeah, come out and give them a shake occasionally. Stir everything up in there really well. And these are just so good to have on the shelf. When you do so much home baking, it just comes in super handy. So a couple other little random bits and pieces that we keep are just things like raisins. You could keep other dried fruits depending on what you eat. We find raisins is fine. We don't eat a ton of them. Usually just if someone wants to make like a raisin bread or hot cross bun type thing, then we use those. We have chocolate chips. The kids like to come out and steal them and leave them all over the floor. So maybe like hide them somewhere. I haven't done that, but it makes me laugh because I'll come out and there'll be chocolate chips. I'll be like, who's been in the chocolate chips? Like, wasn't me. It's quite cute. I don't really mind that much. It's kind of funny. So at the moment we're keeping crackers and pretzels in bulk on the shelf. I'm just finding those super easy for the kids' lunches. We don't do that all the time. Like I said, there'll be certain times of the year or certain points you know, if something comes up and we're not feeling well or we're busy. Those are handy for kids' lunches. I like to stock coconut milk and coconut cream. Those are just really good for in smoothies or curries or things like that. So I do keep those stocked up in bulk. The other thing I really like to keep in bulk is oils. So we use olive oil, avocado oil, and coconut oil. Avocado oil is quite expensive, so we don't use that as often, but we keep a good stock of olive oil, and we try and get those big, I feel like they're 5 litre buckets of coconut oil, which are really, really handy as well. When we have had pigs, I render the fat for those as well, so that's really good bulk fat to have on hand. And then with our preserves, we try and keep a good stock of stock. So I've got beef stock here, but we also have a lot of chicken stock, which is really handy. I would say if you are wanting to learn how to make something, learn how to make stock. It is so easy. It is like super, super good for you. You can put it in the freezer, so you need like a pressure canner to put it in a jar, but you can put it in the freezer in little Ziploc bags, or you can even put it in the freezer in jars. We always keep a really good stock of tomato based products, so passata is one that I just find really versatile, that you can just chuck it in anything that you want that kind of tomatoey flavor, and it's really, really great. Before we preserve our own, or when we run out of our preserves, because that does happen as well, then we just buy tins of canned tomatoes, and you know, we will keep up a stock of those. So I think for us, one of the really important things for keeping things in bulk is to really help us save money. So I know that it can be tricky to start building up a stock of things, because you've got your weekly budget for groceries, and then you've got to add these higher price products in to get bulk. But once you've kind of got the swing of things, and what we like to do is if we see something on special, we'll pick up like 5 or 6 of them at a time. Then the next groceries, we obviously don't need those, so we could pick up 5 or 6 of a different thing that is on special. So I really like to shop online. So we live about half an hour away from our local supermarket. We just get our groceries delivered every week. We use the Delivery Saver service. I'm pretty happy with how that works. One of the biggest benefits for that is that you are not in the supermarket, so you're not tempted to buy other things. You are also able to see and compare prices really, really easily. You're easily able to see the things that are on special. So for us, we really, really started to transition into this way of eating and cooking and buying food, because saving money was our #1 priority. We're on a dairy farm in New Zealand. How that works for us is that we get an income from milk sold and from any like beef sold. Then we use that income to pay all of the farm bills, and then after that we also need to take what we call drawings to live on. So that is like our wages. So to make our business more profitable, we try and take as less as possible to live on. So one thing that works really well for us to be able to take less drawings from our business to make our business more profitable is that we don't take a lot of drawings from our business. It is definitely increased with the cost of living, and I still feel like we spend a really minimal amount on buying food this way. So we really looked at our budget as a whole, our personal spending, and thought like, where can we save money and what kinds of things can we cut out. So we had always produced our own beef on the farm. So we thought, right, we can do, the pigs and the sheep and the eggs from the chickens. Eventually we want to do meat from chickens, but we're not there yet. We want to grow as much of our own fruit and vegetables as we can. We're really good with vegetables. Fruit takes a lot longer. We can also cut out a lot of costs from food we're buying at the supermarket and really minimizing food waste. And then obviously we looked at our other spending. We were not very big spenders to start with. We would buy the kids new clothes as they needed them. We would buy ourselves the same. We didn't eat out a lot. We didn't kind of get coffees every day or anything like that. So you can't when you live rurally. It's just not there. So also town is a really long way away for us. So if we don't go to town, we don't spend money. So yeah, I think there are lots of different ways that we have worked out that we can reduce that amount that we take from the business so our business can be more profitable. I think you always see people saying, well, but growing your food can be so expensive. It definitely can be if you want it to be that way, but it definitely can be super cheap. All you need is a bit of ground and some seeds, and things will grow. So yeah, I think just starting small, really thinking about the things that your family eats. I wouldn't suggest like going out and buying everything in bulk, but starting with one thing. Like for us, the herbs and spices were the thing that allowed us to have that freedom to stop buying certain items from our pantry and being able to replace those with a more homemade option, which worked really, really great for us. If you say to yourself, when you're at the supermarket or something, can I make this myself? Like, that's a really, really great question to ask yourself. And we're so lucky with the internet that there are so many recipes out there for everything. So go out there and give it a try. I would really recommend it for saving money, building up really good quality skills, eating really good quality food. It's also really, really satisfying when you make a meal that's 100% from scratch, or even we get a few meals that are 100% homegrown, homemade, which are really, really cool. So I think one really, really, really important thing is that if you're trying to make changes in anything, take it one step at a time. Be kind to yourself. You're not going to be perfect at it the first time you try, or you may not be able to manage taking like a big jump into it. So for us, I feel like we are really kind to ourselves. When we have times where we can't manage things, we buy the easy options. We just try and buy the best easy option that we can so that we don't make ourselves feel guilty about it. We still buy takeaways. We still like you said, buy the kids crackers for lunches and things like that. We still buy yogurt when we need to. So don't put too much pressure on yourself to be perfect all the time. I feel like for us anyway, that's just really, really unrealistic. I also think it's heaps more fun if you're doing it because it's what you want to do and not for what you have to do. It may be that you don't have the time to cook from scratch all the time, so maybe you could choose a couple meals a week, or you may not have the budget to be able to start out buying bulk, but you could buy like one item bulk every week if you could figure out how to add that into your budget, or there may be something that you can cut out of your budget completely so you're able to start adding in the bulk products. So just be kind to yourself, take small steps, don't put pressure on yourself to be perfect. We definitely do not. And yeah, have fun. So that's all for now. I really appreciate you guys for watching. Thanks so much, and we'll catch you on the next one. Bye bye.